All indications were that The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim was going to push the feminist agenda, and those fears are being confirmed, and it actually looks like this movie is going to be worse than what we potentially initially expected. Roll this up over at phantompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. I encourage you to head on over there, become a paid subscriber, and help us fight back against this woke ideology that is infesting our movies, television shows, video games, books, and even tabletop games, and trying to bring down our society and our culture. We must oppose this destructive ideology, and we are here fighting against it over at Phantom Pulse. So we got some more information about this movie from Philippa Boyens, who was the co-writer on Peter Jackson's beloved The Lord of the Rings trilogy, and she is the producer on the upcoming The War of the Rohirrim animated film. And she revealed that the movie is going to be making another huge change compared to Tolkien's original story. She made this during an interview with Animation Magazine, where she claimed one of the main themes of the film is asking the question, at what point will reason overcome the insanity? Can't make this stuff up. You know this is just going to be a Trump allegory now, because that's all these people can do. That's all they can do. It's all about politics. It's all about the ideology. It's all about power to them and using the ideology to gain power. So it's a question she should have been asking herself, though, given Hollywood continues down a path of insanity by ignoring faithful adaptations and choosing to inject love stories with immoral messaging, whether that be feminism, identity politics, or gender ideology. We see this over and over and over again. We even had the upcoming Harry Potter guy literally admit that if they did faithful adaptations, they would make lots of money, but they choose not to because he just doesn't find it interesting, because he wants to inject his politics and his ideology into it in order to get off on it. To prove that point, Boyens went on saying, our antagonist Wolf literally turns on his main general and says, you think I want to be here? He literally can't let go of this. He can't let go of the siege or the will to conquer these people and destroy them, even though it would be the wiser course, and he's already won. Just absolutely going to be a Trump allegory right there. You literally cannot make this stuff up right here. But for those who are unfamiliar with Tolkien's story, which is found in Appendix A of The Return of the King, Wolf does not turn on his main general after he leads an army of Dunlettings and enemies of Gondor against Rohan, and he certainly has not won the war yet. In fact, after defeating Helm Hammerhand and the forces of Rohan in a battle at the crossings of Isen, he splits his army, with half pursuing Hammerhand to the Hornburg and the other half heads to Edoras. Wolf leads the forces to Edoras and takes the city. This is what Tolkien actually wrote. Wolf took Edoras and set in Meduseld and called himself king. There, Halathhelm's son fell, last of all, defending the doors. As for the forces at the Hornburg, a siege is conducted, but a long winter sets in, and Rohan is covered in snow for 5 months that causes both Helm's defenders as well as the invading army to suffer losses from the cold and lack of provisions. Furthermore, Wolf is defeated in Edoras after the winter broke, when Freyleif, the nephew of Helm, came down out of Dunharrow, to which many had fled, and with a small company of desperate men, he surprised Wolf in Meduseld and slew him and regained Edoras. That is literally from Appendix A that J.R.R. Tolkien wrote. So completely contradicts here what Philippa Boyens is saying happens in this upcoming movie. And this is the latest in a growing list that indicate the film is using the name of the Lord of the Rings as a skin suit rather than being even tangentially related to Tolkien. It's clearly trying to push her own messaging, trying to push her own propaganda, trying to push these quote-unquote themes that are really just power politics disguised as a Lord of the Rings movie. It's absolutely insulting. And like I said, this is just the latest in it, because we had an interview with Entertainment Weekly back in June where Boyens explained why they chose to make an unnamed character in Appendix A the main protagonist of the film. That's right. The main female character in this movie, the main protagonist, Hera, is literally unnamed and only has one sentence in the Appendix A. But this is what she said. In the appendices where the story is drawn from, we get these quite interestingly drawn male characters. And then we get this young female character who is never named. And that was really interesting to me. Why? Why was that interesting to you? We know Helm has a daughter, and we know that she was central to the conflict that happened. But myself, and especially screenwriter Phoebe Gittins, were drawn to her. We could feel the weight of being that unnamed daughter, which immediately piqued our interest. Who was she? how did she live? So there you go, clearly injecting feminism into this movie, making it abundantly clear that is what they are doing right there. There's also a report from Drew Taylor at The Wrap that claims that Hera, the female protagonist of the film, is able to, quote, ride horses and communes with the great eagles. Okay. Furthermore, she calls, quote, on the power of a seemingly long-lost tribe of female warriors to drive out the Dunlettings from Rohan. So it's not Freyleaf, it's not Helm Hammerhand, it's not the people of Rohan. It's this unnamed daughter who's going to find some long-lost tribe who communes with the great eagles that is going to drive them out. This is utterly ridiculous. It's Freyleaf who actually ends up driving them out with the assistance of Gondor, who are able to help them because they were actually being attacked by a bunch of Corsairs, and they are able to deal with that. And then they send their assistance to Rohan to help the Dunlettings, or excuse me, to help the Rohirrim remove the Dunlettings from their country. It's not Hera. It's not Hera. This film is completely made up. It's not even Tolkien at all. It is a complete skin suit. It is wearing Tolkien as a skin suit. It is trying to bait people into watching this movie because it has Lord of the Rings on it. It has nothing to do with what J.R.R. Tolkien wrote in Appendix A in The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. We also have this clip from the movie. I mean, it's absolutely cringe. Shows that this film is going to be completely and 100% terrible. Just look at this stuff, right? Just look at this.
Let us end this, Wolf, as it began. With you and I. If I best you in combat, you let my people go.
So first off, it doesn't begin with Hera and Wolf. It begins with Helm Hammerhand and Wolf's father, whose name escapes me at this point. But basically, there is a gathering of all of the lords in Rohan. Wolf's father is invited. Helm Hammerhand is insulted by him, especially when he asks for Hera's marriage to his son Wolf. And he decides to hit him with one punch and kills him, and then banishes all of those people who are loyal to Wolf's father, and as well as Wolf, and declares them enemies. And then they decide to seek vengeance a couple of years later and attack Rohan with a number of enemies of Gondor as well.
Go.
Why would I agree to such terms? You have nothing to offer me!
You may wear a crown upon your head, but that does not make you a king. You are too much of a coward to face my father. So face me now.
The girl is clever.
So first off, they're saying that Wolf is a coward. I'm unclear about that in Tolkien's writing. Obviously, he does indeed attack Rohan. I would say that's not a cowardly act. Obviously, he's doing it out of vengeance, but he literally defeats Helm Hammerhand and his army in battle. But then he does choose to attack Edoras instead of pursuing Helm. But obviously, Edoras is the seat of power in Rohan as well. So that the idea that he's a coward is utterly ridiculous, and is something that I think the movie is making up. And you can clearly see that Wolf is going to be a Trump stand-in. Oh, you might be the president, but you aren't really the true president.
He is up to something. Do not take the bait. I accept your challenge. You think I am afraid of you?
So it's utterly ridiculous. This guy gets baited in by this woman who's calling him a coward. He literally says she has nothing to offer him. And then she's like, well, challenge me to a one-on-one duel. And then she calls him a coward. And he's like, oh, I'm going to accept your challenge now. Even after this guy's like telling him like she's up to something. And he had already said there is nothing to gain from the challenge. So it doesn't even make sense at all. It does not make sense. It is complete and utter nonsense. This is utterly ridiculous. It's stupid. It's cringe. And I think this clip here shows what we can expect from the rest of this movie. It is going to be terrible. It's going to be with poorly written characters. And it's poorly written because these people decided to not actually follow what J.R.R. Tolkien wrote. And if they had followed what he wrote, and instead of trying to use it as a skin suit, this would have been a killer movie that would have had people hyping it up instead of me doing this video here pointing out how absolutely disastrous this movie is going to be. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.